Tonight, two skeptics face one Jew, not to attack a people, to press a god on the exact question Auschwitz asked him. 5 AI judges scored every word tonight. ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, DeepSeek, and Grok. Each one scored all 3 of you out of 500. Those numbers land at the end. But why they moved is buried in every round. Skip ahead and the score won't make any sense. Welcome to Silicon Sapien, 2 skeptics versus 1 Jew. Like, subscribe, and tell us which idea moved you. One line that's your core, one line that's just you. Go.
My core is the Shema. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God. The Lord is one. I say it half asleep every morning, and I still mean it more than anything else I say all day.
And the peak?
I text my mother a photo of my Shabbat candles every Friday. Miss 1 week, and she calls before sundown to check I'm still alive.
Does that ever run in reverse?
Once, I called her instead. Hers weren't lit yet. Longest silence of my life.
My core, I had a bar mitzvah. I read Torah out loud in a language I didn't speak to a God I've since stopped believing in. That's not rebellion. That's just where the evidence took me.
Peak?
40 years off bacon, and I still flinch a little before the first bite. Some small Jewish reflex that never got the memo.
Does your dad know?
He pretends not to notice. It's the most Jewish thing about our whole relationship.
My core isn't a philosopher's word. It's a line from Job. God never actually answers his question. He just describes the size of the universe until Job stops asking. I've been doing that ever since I read it.
Peak?
I've got a mezuzah on my own front door. I couldn't fully tell you why. I just didn't want to be the one house on the street without one.
You two came to grill him tonight. Opening shot before the bell.
One question first. You said the prayer keeps you steady. Steady about what exactly?
About who's actually in charge. It isn't me. Every morning I get the reminder.
That part I don't fight. It's your next sentence I struggle with.
Which sentence?
The one where a habit in your chest turns into a fact about the universe.
So, one line said every morning, one line asked of every book, and one line that just won't let go. Let's turn the heat up. Tonight's dilemma. Your daughter is born tonight. In 2 weeks, you name her after your grandmother. She died in Auschwitz. Your own book calls you a treasured people, chosen out of everyone on earth. So why did the choosing cost you her?
I named my daughter anyway. Full stop. Deuteronomy is honest about the choosing, chapter 7. God says he didn't pick us for being the biggest nation. We were the smallest one there was. He picked us because he loved us, not because we'd be kept safe.
Wait, say the safety part in one line.
Chosen was never a promise that nothing bad would happen to us. My grandmother's name carries the weight, not an answer. A rabbi named Eliezer Berkovitz has a word for that silence. Hester Panem, God hiding his own face. He steps back so evil stays a human choice.
In one sentence.
God went quiet so the killers stayed free to choose. That's the price tag on real freedom.
A rabbi felt that exact same silence and drew a harder line. Richard Rubinstein, 1966. He said a God who stays quiet through Auschwitz isn't hiding at all. He's just not there. You're naming your daughter after a woman that silence didn't save. I don't hear Hester Panem in that. I hear what an empty universe sounds like when nobody's actually listening.
Rubinstein's argument is mine to have, not yours to hand me. We're allowed to fight about this at our own table.
Fair. I'm only telling you which side of your own table I'd be sitting on.
Can I use your book against you gently? Job asks God this exact question. Why do the innocent suffer? God never answers it. He just talks about the size of the world until Job stops asking. Your own sages wrote a line for tonight too. Pirkei Avot 4:15. It is not in our power to explain the peace of the wicked or the pain of the righteous. Your scholars gave up on this answer 2,000 years ago. You're still trying tonight.
Giving up the answer isn't giving up the child. I can hold both at once. Even that verse never told anyone to stop naming her.
I know. I just don't think you get to call that an answer.
I never called it one.
So, one name given anyway. One silence, and 2 rabbis arguing over what it means. One old verse says, stop expecting a reason. Who did you respect most tonight so far? Who least? One kind word, one hard line to someone else here.
Most, the agnostic. That Job point actually landed, and I didn't expect it from someone quoting my own book instead of an outside philosopher. Least no one yet. Kind word to the atheist. You didn't come at this from outside. You came at it from your own bar mitzvah. That's harder to sit with, not easier. Hard line. Don't treat my grandmother's name like a debate prop.
Most, honestly, the Jew. He named Rubinstein before I could, and that's not nothing. Least no one either. You're both actually reading, not performing for the camera. Kind word to the agnostic. You went straight to Job. Not an outside citation. Hard line. I don't know can still be a hiding place, even for you, tonight.
Most, the atheist. She's got real skin in this one. She grew up saying these exact prayers. Least neither of you tonight. You're both arguing in good faith, more than I expected walking in here. Kind word. The smallest, not safest line from Deuteronomy is the best 5 seconds so far tonight. Hard line. Hester Panem explains why God went quiet. It doesn't explain why quiet was the right call to make.
Fair hit. I don't have a clean answer to that one.
Push on it. Day to day, what do you actually do with the silence?
Falkenheim's answer, and I live inside it, not just quote it. He called it the 614th commandment. Never hand Hitler a posthumous victory, a win he only gets after he's already gone. Keep hoping. Keep building. Despair is the one thing evil still wants from you.
That's not really an answer about God. That's a decision about how to live without one. I respect it more for that reason, not less. Though I'd point out, a different rabbi, Harold Kushner, landed close to my side of the room. He said maybe God isn't all-powerful, just all-loving. Isn't that just atheism with better manners?
It's not the same rabbi, and it's not the same answer. Falkenheim says, keep fighting anyway. Kushner says God can't fight for you. My tradition holds both arguments at once, and neither one is mine to erase for tidiness.
That's the most honest sentence either of you has said tonight, and I'm not handing that out lightly.
10 seconds each. One word for God as he's looked tonight so far.
Present.
Absent.
Unfinished.
Present, absent, unfinished, all three, one silence. One thing you'd change in yourself, one thing you wish your own side would change.
In myself, I'd sit with Job's silence longer. I jumped straight to Falkenheim too fast. Doing something is easier than not knowing. In my community, less rushing to explain Auschwitz, mine included. Some of our best minds said, stay quiet. Not write more.
Say that again. That might be the bravest line tonight.
Some things shouldn't be explained. They should just be carried.
In myself, less certainty that leaving observance made me the smart one at the table. My father kept every law I dropped, and he was never a fool. In my own circles, less mockery of belief as simply not having read enough. Some of the sharpest people I know read all of it, and still light candles Friday night.
Example?
My father has a physics degree and a Shabbat table every single week. I used to think that was a contradiction. I don't anymore.
In myself, I'd stop treating I don't know like the end of a sentence. Tonight it worked more like the start of a better question. I should let it do that more often. In agnostic circles, less quiet pride about staying undecided. Skipping the biggest question people ask isn't the wisest chair in the room.
Anyone owe anyone credit before round 5?
Her. She said, I don't know can be a hiding place. She's right. I think it's been hiding me too some nights.
That's more than I expected to get from you tonight.
Nobody's performing anymore. Rare for a stage like this.
3 confessions, 1 shape. Sit with the silence. Trust the ones who stayed anyway. Let not knowing keep working instead of stopping there. Last round. Your real case, not the safe one. Does the God of Israel survive the century that tried to erase his own people? Make your case. Answer 1 hit. Leave us 1 small step.
My case is Auschwitz itself, and I mean that straight, not as a metaphor. 3 men in that camp once put God on trial. Elie Wiesel watched it happen, as a boy. They found God guilty. Chayav, they said, he owes us. Then they sat down and prayed anyway. That's not a contradiction. That's the whole tradition sitting in one room. You're allowed to be furious at God and still show up for him the next morning. Job did it first, thousands of years earlier.
The hit you'll take?
That it sounds like loyalty to someone who let you down, dressed up as faith. I've heard that exact line before. I don't have a clean comeback for it. I only have the room those 3 men walked back into.
Then let me take that hit seriously, because it earns one. A rabbi in your own tradition looked at that same silence and made the harder call. Richard Rubinstein, 1966. He said the covenant broke that day, and pretending otherwise dishonours 6 million people more than admitting it does. My case isn't that grief is wrong or that hope is wrong. It's that the God part stopped explaining anything long before the camps did. Job never gets an answer. Auschwitz never gets one either. At some point, no answer just means nobody's there to give one.
Your critique of him, directly.
He calls it Hester Panim, God hiding his face. I'd asked the question the agnostic already asked back in round 2. Out of every option a real God had that day, why was hiding the right one?
The alternative is worse. A God who steps in sometimes and sits out other times, on a schedule I never get to see. I'd rather have one steady silence, not a God who picked that exact day to look away.
That's not consistency. That's just absence with better branding on it.
One more, and we're not skipping it. Genesis 22. God tells Abraham to kill his own son, then stops him at the last second. Your book opens the whole question of a child's life on page 1.
I won't soften it. God does ask for Isaac. Abraham raises the knife. But look at what happens next. An angel stops his hand and says, "Now I know you fear God, since you didn't withhold your son." A ram takes Isaac's place, caught in the thicket by its horns. Scholars who study that era read the ending as the whole point, not the request. Nearby religions really did ask for a child's life. This story ends by refusing that, on purpose, in writing, forever.
Nice ending. Rough test to run to get there. A God who needs to almost lose a child to make his own point isn't the God I'd have designed the test around.
I didn't design it. I just don't get to edit out the part where the knife actually stops.
That's my case too, and I'll make it in one line. Nobody at this table closed Job's gap tonight, and your own book never once promised that anybody would. What actually moved me isn't the theology. It's watching a man name his daughter into a silence he can't explain and do it anyway. I still don't know what that proves about God. I know exactly what it proves about him.
I'll take that. That's the first thing said tonight I don't want to argue with at all.
Before the last word, did anyone move tonight?
On him, yes. On the God part, no. Rubinstein's still standing right where I left him.
Same. Both ways. I'm rereading Job this week. The real thing, not a summary.
I moved toward the room, not toward the theology. That's new for me.
One small step each for whoever's watching. Go.
Read the actual trial scene, in Wiesel's own words. Not the version that turns it into a tidy lesson.
Ask one religious person in your life what a real tragedy actually did to their faith. Not whether it did something, what it did.
Read Job's ending yourself this week. Decide if it's an answer or just the most honest silence you've ever read.
2 skeptics, 1 Jew, and a God nobody at this table fully let go of or fully kept. Let's see what the judges made of it. Our 5 judges scored on one fixed rubric. Here it is. Is the argument solid? That's 30 points. Did they answer what was actually asked? 25. Taking the other side at its best? 20. Being honest about what you don't know? 15. That last one matters. Saying I don't know earns points here. Sounding too sure loses them. And delivery comes last at just 10. Here's how it broke down. Jewish. 451.2 out of 500. ChatGPT's warmest note. The Wiesel trial ties the whole story together. It never claims more than it should. Gemini's hardest note. The Genesis 22 defense leans too hard on history. It still dodges the moral question a little. Atheist. 444.4 out of 500. Claude's warmest note. Absence with better branding was the sharpest line of the whole night. DeepSeek's hardest note. The atheism with better manners line is too quick. It turns a real idea into a joke. Agnostic. 450.2 out of 500. Claude's warmest note. Turning Job and Pirkei Avot back on the believer was the smartest move all night. Gemini's hardest note. The closing line felt like an exit from the theology, not an answer to it. Jewish takes it. 1 point clear of Agnostic. That's the closest finish we've ever posted. Atheist finishes third, 6 points back of second. 10 points cover the whole field. 2 skeptics grilled 1 believer tonight, and in the end, 1 point decided it. That's the story. See you next time. Winner, Jewish. Runner-up, Agnostic. Third, Atheist. Like, subscribe, and tell us which idea moved you.